Hello, it's a lovely afternoon and I welcome you to Nationwide on NTA. My name is Ogochkuka Ona. You're welcome. World leaders have shown commitment in addressing issues associated with climate change mitigation as they took turn to address the ongoing United Nations COP28 summit taking place in the United Arab Emirates. Let's now join Musa Baba Aliyu for details.
Dubai in the United Arab Emirates is hosting the largest ever United Nations Climate Summit with 80,000 participants from across the globe. Among them are a number of world leaders including United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, King Charles III, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, French President Emmanuel Macron and Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria. The host president of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, announced that his country will establish a $30 billion climate fund aimed at attracting $250 billion of investment in the next 10 years. He said the fund will allocate $25 billion towards climate strategies and $5 billion specifically to incentive investment flows in the global south. King Charles III appealed to the world leaders to make the COP28 climate summit a turning point in addressing climate change. He, however, warned that despite some progress, the world is far from meeting the set goals.
Surely, real action is required to stem the growing toll of its most vulnerable victims.
On his part, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged world leaders to plan for a future without fossil fuel, saying there was no other way to curb global warming. He said the 1.5-degree limit is only possible if the world will stop burning all fossil fuels.
We must accelerate a just, equitable transition to renewables. The science is clear. The 1.5-degree limit is only possible if we ultimately stop burning all fossil fuels.
Other leaders, including President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, are expected to deliver positions of their countries on climate change and global warming. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The 2024 appropriation bill of 27.5 trillion naira has passed second reading at the House of Representatives. This follows extensive debate by lawmakers in the Green Chamber who applauded the Tinubu administration for boosting capital expenditure and reducing non-debt recurrent overheads in the 2024 estimates.
The total budget estimate was 27.5 trillion, which is 7 trillion more than the previous budget. This was done so that within the shortest possible time, Nigeria will feel the impact of the current budget.
The traditional 70 to 75% of recurrent expenditure has now been reduced to less than 50%. And the capital expenditure has now increased from the traditional 20% to about 36% of the proposal today.
The presenter of the budget, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that we know from Lagos State, has invested all his life developing people. A budget which will go further than ever before in cementing microeconomic stability, reducing deficit, increasing capital spending, and allocation to reflect the 8 priority areas of the administration.
Other lawmakers called for attention in infrastructure in the transportation and education sectors during the consideration of the 2024 estimates so that the Tinubu administration can record some quick wins.
If the people who need our help traveling by rail can be connected from Kogi State to Abuja, it will alleviate the sufferings of so many people.
With all humility and submit, let every legislator here go home and constitute what may be called project custodians in various constituencies.
We must have a benchmark, Mr. Speaker, so that if we as National Assembly oversighting the MDAs. At the end of the year, we should have a performance benchmark.
The federal government is to create 21 million jobs for Nigerians between 2023 and 2027 and lift 35 million people out of poverty. This is coming from the Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Bako Lalong, at the launch of Nigeria's Decent Work Country Program 3. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Quality workforce, labor protection and workers' welfare remains a global concern. The United Nations, through its organ, the International Labour Organization, is at the driver's seat of this global campaign under the Decent Work Country Program, a United Nations document which seeks to mobilize resources for the achievement of a happy workforce through social justice.
And these are issues that has to do with fundamental principles and rights at work. So the work that we have been doing with social partners, with the ministry around issues of child labor, for an example, those are key fundamental issues.
I think it is significant that Nigeria is currently the chair of the ILO Executive Council, that's what it's called, governing board.
At the launch of Nigeria's Decent Work Country Program 3, the Ministry of Labour and Employment hopes to leverage on this campaign to achieve federal government's plans of improving on social justice to all segments of Nigerian workers and create more jobs.
It will ensure that existing and new jobs in both the public and private sectors are productive and provide opportunities for career progression.
Decent work is that which will ensure that jobs are created for women, men, and youth.
So for us, it's an affirmation that we'll make and we'll continue to make, and you can count on the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association.
The program is primarily to ensure that the condition of workers in Nigeria aligns with International Labour Organization standard and national development objectives. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Now, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says the legislature recognizes the urgency of capacity building for Nigeria's armed forces and would continue to give needed legislative intervention in that regard. At an interaction with the delegation from the National Defense College, Senator Akpabio also reassured that speedy approvals to procure modern equipment to tackle security challenge will be granted by the lawmakers.
Your contribution is invaluable, and we are very proud of the contributions of our men in uniform in general, because sometimes a lot of you have to pay the supreme sacrifice in order to keep the nation safe. It's not an easy thing. So constantly we remember you in our prayers, and we also thank you for opting to give your all to the service of your fatherland. The 10th Senate will partner with our men, armed forces.
The Commandant, National Defense College, appealed for more support to enable the institution discharge its mandate.
758 participants. We're also proud to have graduated 296 allied military officers from 30 African countries as well as countries in Europe, in Asia and South America. We are keen on relocating from our temporary site here to our permanent site along the airport road in a place called Piwoyi. And the only thing that is preventing us from doing that is the fact that our admin block is yet to be completed since the project was started in 2017.
The federal government is to add 31 million metric tons of food to the national food supply chain. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security says the expected production will combat food inflation and hunger and reduce poverty in the country. Musa Aliyu has details.
Food demand and supply have been a major concern to the global community in recent times. Drop in farmers' output per hectare as a result of the use of poor quality seed is identified as a major challenge in West Africa, including Nigeria. The convergence of experts in seed production here is aimed at identifying how to improve seed supply value chain in Nigeria.
Nigeria and Nigerians need food.
Global Declaration of Food Emergency, the role of the seed industry and ensuring Africa's food and nutrition security is the theme for the meeting.
We will be about 400 million in less than 30 years. The need to scale up our production.
It is estimated that Nigerian farmers require more than 300,000 metric tons of seeds of 5 major staple crops in 2024 planting season.
Seed industry.
Minister of State for Agriculture Aliu Sabi Abdullahi said government has outlined series of critical pathways to solve the food security challenges in the country. He said farmers are being supported with quality seeds for rice, maize and soybeans and other inputs at subsidized rates.
We are committed to creating the enabling environment for production of more seeds, and this includes availability of early generation seeds. This can only be achieved when our national research institutions are strengthened and we have a good capacity building strategy for breeders.
Consequently, the National Agricultural Seed Council, the minister said, will be focused to increase sensitization, surveillance, and enforcement of its laws towards curbing infiltration of uncertified seeds that rob farmers of their value for money. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
The enormous benefits of tourism and culture for all-round development have been compiled in a book for Nigerians to optimize for a robust GDP. Elizabeth Omori reports that the publication titled Harnessing Culture for Economic Growth is authored by Chuks Akamadu.
Tourism, low-hanging fruits, economists say, are priority areas of the non-oil sector not fully exploited. And the fusion of these key sectors, the author believes, will diversify the economy. The book captures 12 chapters providing adoptable models to drive the diverse cultures to strengthen tourism.
Development is about people. Development is about creativity of how people should see what is enjoyment of life.
Culture administration should be left under the care of culture experts.
This book will serve as an instrument for producing a master plan for tourism.
The author, while highlighting challenges impeding the growth of the sector, noted that leadership plays a crucial role in tapping benefits.
It provides jobs for the local communities. It provides jobs for the teeming youths of this country.
The publication, guests insist, will explore prospects for a robust non-oil sector. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Now, in the early hours of Friday, 1st December 2023, around 3:30 in the morning, government attacked the residence of INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Lokoja, Kogi State. Statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Rotimi Oyekomi, says the armed men engaged the security personnel in a gun battle for over 30 minutes until reinforcement arrived. While no lives was lost, property was destroyed in the ensuing gun battle. A team of combined security personnel have been deployed to protect the residents. The incident occurred a day after a mob besieged INEC State Office. INEC calls for a thorough investigation and enhanced security protection for its personnel and assets in Kogi State. Recently, the Enugu State government fulfilled its promise of providing water for the people of the state within 180 days from inception of the present administration. Now that the water project has been inaugurated, the big question is, how well is the water reticulation to ensure it gets to every household? James Okpare-Kocha went around Enugu metropolis to sample opinion of people in the streets on the water situation.
For the past 20 years, the people of Enugu State had to rely on tanker drivers for their water supply. It was therefore a relief to the people of Enugu when the Governor Peter Mbah fulfilled his campaign promise to make water available in Enugu within the first 6 months of his administration.
I believe there are places that water are still running. I have well in my compound. Well, there's no water flowing right now.
Though the state government says it has millions of liters of water required by residents for their daily consumption, through the rehabilitation of both the Oju River and Ninth Mile water systems. The major work lies in the people feeling their impact right in their homes. This requires reticulating the water to all nooks and crannies of the state. Reported cases of burst pipes due to water pressure needs to be addressed as urgently as they are identified. In Enugu, James Oparekocha, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremu Tinubu says the fight against HIV/AIDS can only be won with active involvement and collaboration of leaders of various communities. She was speaking in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, at the commemoration of the year 2023 World AIDS Day with the theme, Let Communities Lead. The gathering, which was organized by the First Lady of Zimbabwe, Dr. Ozilia Mgangawa, ahead of the 22nd edition of the International Conference on AIDS and STI in Africa, saw participants from the United Nations and other sister agencies speak on the need to scale up advocacy and education about the pandemic, while decrying recent statistics released by the UNAIDS, which revealed that in year 2022, the African continent was responsible for 2/3 of about 1.5 million new infections recorded worldwide. The First Lady, in a statement by her Special Assistant on Media, Busola Kukoyi, the global response to HIV/AIDS, hitherto driven by governments, international organizations, and healthcare professionals, must now recognize the pivotal role that communities play in shaping the response to this pandemic. She urged various community leaders, especially traditional rulers, religious leaders, non-governmental organizations, and community-based organizations who have led the fight in the past to intensify efforts so that the target of eradicating pandemic by 2030 can be met. Nigeria's First Lady arrived Zimbabwe on Thursday for the pre-conference high-level meeting by the Organization of African First Ladies for Development, starting on the 2nd of December 2023 in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. The meeting has as its theme addressing the elimination of mother-to-child transmission and the elimination of newborn infections in Africa. All right, we now join Lagos, where Adiola is standing by for more reports on Nationwide. Adiola, what's the latest from your end?
Thank you, Ogochukwuka. Statistics by the Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS show a reduction in HIV cases globally by 59% since the peak of the infection in 1995. Despite the drop in the number of new cases due to increased awareness and education, the international community is committed to ending the epidemic by 2030. As World marks AIDS Day, correspondent takes a look at progress made by government and organizations in Nigeria to promote healthy lifestyle and stop this stigmatization of people living with HIV.
Sustainable Development Goal 3 aims to prevent needless suffering from preventable diseases and premature deaths by focusing on key targets that boost the health of a country's overall population. Estimates from 2023 Spectrum place the number of people living with HIV in Nigeria at over 1 million. The UNAIDS 95-95 fast-track strategy.
When we look at subpopulations, we lag far behind with children. They are not where they should be. Adolescent girls and young women and key populations. So we still have gaps to fill.
According to medical experts, access to treatment is no longer a challenge as most health facilities now have care units to attend to HIV patients.
Pre-exposure prophylaxis, where people who are substantial risk of HIV can be provided those drugs early before their exposure, and to treatment as prevention.
As we approach 2030, we want to make sure we get virtually everyone that is HIV positive identified and placed on treatment. That will help our prevention strategies.
Although the figures have dropped drastically, stigmatization remains a major problem for young people like Tabitha.
Both at the family level, at the community level, relationship-wise, there has been a challenge. We have so many people that has been taking this drug for over 20-something years and they are still living fine. Their children are negative, their wives are negative.
As the world unites to commemorate AIDS Day, it is another opportunity to remind people of the global struggle to end HIV-related stigma while honoring those who have lost their lives in the disease and continue to work towards a day when HIV is no longer a public health threat. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
And moving to the financial sector, every country desirous of being an investment destination must adopt internationally accepted standard practice in its financial reporting to improve its global rating and open up the economy for foreign direct investments. This is why the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria is seeking to place Nigeria at a vantage position by strengthening compliance with extant laws and deepening collaboration. Joel Bobola completes the report.
Across the globe, compliance with international financial reporting standard and other regulations is a force to be reckoned with in global economy rating. This, according to experts, is because financial reporting and consistent oversight of regulatory agencies has become a barometer to assess the economic stability and prospect for growth. Inside this hall are people of like minds who are determined to strengthen the financial regulatory framework of the nation to actualize the renewed hope agenda of the present administration.
We have presidential backing to ensure that we deepen all areas of our oversight. We're going to issue new codes of corporate governance for public institutions. We're going to issue new codes of corporate governance for the not-for-profit sector. We're not just going to issue this code, we are also going to hold to account those who have responsibilities under this code to deliver them. That's a clear mandate, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Stakeholders emphasize that all sectors must be on the same page to ensure Nigeria is at par with economically advanced nations.
If we are doing the right thing, which will be also, by the time they look at what we are doing and what is happening in their country, it will be the same. So that's why we are talking about, you see, it talks about code of corporate governance. These are some of the things we do. So that the investors will have confidence in this country.
I think it's a very welcome development. It means that everybody can have clarity in terms of what the direction of travel would be. So a big commendation.
More impactful reforms are expected to be implemented over the next couple of months. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
And those are the reports from Lagos. We shall return you to Ogochukwuka Ona in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide after this break. Please stay with us.
Thank you for staying tuned. In one of our earlier reports, we told you about the Enugu State government's fulfilling of its promise of providing water for the people of the state. We will now be joining correspondent James Oparekocha, who is standing by in Enugu metropolis to shed more light on the situation. A very good afternoon to you, James.
Good afternoon. This is Zik Avenue by Edinburgh here in Enugu. Behind me here is one of the water galleries, 190 something of them scattered around the metropolis of this town. And I have with me here the SA on publication and research of Enugu State Government, Jos Edje, who is here with me to talk more about this water situation. Yes, congratulations on the availability of 120 million liters of water in Enugu State. But then we have discovered that the waters are not yet in the homes of the Enugu people. What is the situation?
Well, thank you. I will have to accept your congratulations because it is actually promised fulfilled. The governor said in 180 days he was going to give the people of Enugu metropolis water, and he has fulfilled that promise. Now, in terms of reticulation, we have sufficient water, 120 million liters of water non-stop, 247. Now, reticulation, yes, people are getting water in part of the state, substantial part of the state. However, like it is noted, we are facing some challenges. Like the challenge, one of the challenges is sabotage from members of the public who are destroying or vandalizing our water facilities. However, His Excellency has actually given a marching order to security, to beef up security in most of those sensitive facilities. to forestall vandalization. And the second challenge has to do with came from network providers who are trenching. So most of them, like I was just coming from some of the inspection sites where they've destroyed some of the pipes. But we've got our technicians on ground. These are technical experts, and they are fixing them.
All right. You, like you rightly acknowledged, a lot of challenges already. So how long is it going to take the Enugu people to have water in their various homes?
Yes, like I said earlier, some of them substantially, like 90% of them, have got water in their homes. But because of this issue of pipe bursts, out of vandals and sabotage, so we are trying to fix that 10%. And before the year ends, because we are in, this is December 1st, so before Christmas, definitely they will get water in their homes, because His Excellency has declared state of emergency in replacing most of those old pipes, because most of these pipes had not seen water in the past 20 to 30 years, you know, coupled with the art of vandals. So emergency has been declared, and we are assuring members of the public, those who have not got water, that is we are getting water to them.
Well, that is the essay to the governor speaking about the water situation here in Enugu. As you can see, there are a lot of challenges, so it's not yet Uhuru, as I can see, because some days ago we went around actually, and a lot of people were saying that they still need to have the water in their home, not yet so. Well, this is Vic Avenue by Edinburgh here in Enugu, the coal city. I am James Oparekwata, back to the studio.
Thank you very much, James. And I am also equally in line with the guests there who complained about sabotage. Why destroy what is meant to serve you? That's a food for thought. All right, moving on now. Bridging generational gap remains sacrosanct to building a vibrant nation where youth inclusivity is encouraged. This was the position of former President Olusegun Obasanjo at a leadership forum tagged "The Nigeria We Want," bridging generational gaps at the instance of the Bridge Leadership Foundation. Elizabeth Omori reports that issues on national values were also addressed.
It is an established fact that Africa has the youngest population, with 70% in sub-Saharan Africa, set to be below 30. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says leaders can achieve an inclusive, stable and productive nation through policies for all strata of society.
Let there be generational appreciation. And all we need is one. Nigeria will be one of the 10 leading nations of the world. Just one generation. One generation of 25 years. And you are the ones who will do it.
The need to mentor our young people, the need to build a new generation of leaders came to my mind. We knew that we needed a transformational type of leadership grooming that would ensure that these young men and women have what it takes to lead in this age.
Other speakers harped on character building, public trust, security, entrepreneurship, and value reorientation.
Pitch patriotism to Nigerian youths so that they can begin to believe more in their country.
There is hope for the Nigerian youth in the long run, but we do not have to give up hope.
Believing in the Nigeria project was the key message to the youth at the forum. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
And in Adamawa, state government has embarked on massive vaccination of animals to save the state from animal diseases. Governor Amadu Umaru Fentere, while flagging off the 2023 exercise, charged stakeholders in the livestock industry to ensure success for the good of all. Yusuf Jika reports.
Our state economy remains diversified across livestock industry, contributing 37.1% to the state gross domestic product, making it one of its revenue generation and economic diversification. One of the challenges the sector is faced with is transboundary diseases, which is affecting productivity of livestock, as most people are dependent on livestock as a way of life and means of livelihood. To stem the tide of the diseases, the Adamawa state government organizes the 2023 statewide vaccination campaign against bovine pleuropneumonia and pest desperate ruminants to ensure sustained public health and enhance economic growth and development. Governor Amadou Marifentry, represented by the Chief of Staff Government House Yola, Edgar Amos Sunday, said his administration will continue to accord priority to the livestock because of the economic and nutritional values.
Not only by ensuring the availability of healthy meat and milk for public consumption, but also reducing the prevalence of zoonotic diseases, which are diseases that are transmissible between humans and animals.
Commissioner of Livestock and Aquaculture Development, Tijani Maksha, said the vaccination campaign is significant as the diseases are classified as disease of socio-economic significance by the World Organization of Animal Health. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
We are still with Yusuf Jika in Yola with more information on that report. Hello, Yusuf. What more have you to share with us?
Ogochukuka, thank you very much. Adamawa State, its climatic condition couples with local proximity to some African countries favors large concentration of livestock here in the state, thereby making it to be means of livelihood to many people with various of economic value chain. And part of the challenges that is affecting the productivity of this industry is transboundary animal diseases, which is seriously affecting the productivity. This, the Adamawa State government said, cannot be continued. Hence, the launching of the 2023 mass vaccination exercise against the transboundary animal diseases, specifically in bovine pleuropneumonia and Pes Petits ruminant. And joining us to discuss more on this matter is the Chief of Staff, Government House Yola, who is part of the delegation that flagged off the occasion that was held. Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us more on the significance of this vaccination that took place here in the States?
The significance is that Adamawa State is blessed with immense livestock resources, especially cattle, sheep, and goats. And we believe that if properly harnessed, it will lead to household income, it will lead to job opportunities, it will lead to industrialization, and it will also increase the internally generated revenue of government. And it will also address even food security, because we depend on meat and eggs as part of our daily diet. Again, we share some common diseases between animals and human beings. And so if we're able to reduce those zoonotic diseases that are shared and are transmissible between the two, then that will also enhance human health. But against the backdrop of global economic constraints, the war in Ukraine and so on and so forth, subnationals like Adamawa, we feel that the Fintra administration will give priority to areas where we have comparative advantage. And so if we are able to address diseases as a constraint, that will enhance the productivity of our livestock, boost our economy, provide opportunities for industrialization, and enhance food security in our state.
What other plans do you have for improved productivity of the livestock?
Adamawa State government is arguably one of the, if not the only state that has a fully fledged ministry specifically targeted at livestock production. And so that will, as it were, lead to measures such as mitigating the incessant conflicts between farmers and herdsmen. It will lead to the use of technology in enhancing livestock productivity.
Thank you very much, Ogochukuka. It's interest you to know that the Chief of Staff, Government House Yola, is the former National President, Nigerian Medical Veterinary Association. Over to you in the studios.
Thank you very much, Yusuf, and to our guests. We appreciate him. And now moving on now, following recent tension in Kano, the APC business community in the state has petitioned the United Nations office in Abuja against what it described as a deliberate attempt to murder the existing peace in the ancient commercial city. The group was led by its chairman, Umar Ladio Ibrahim. Political correspondent Abubakar Kwanga reports.
It was Monday morning and the United Nations House was quiet, but then the mood eventually changed following the submission of a petition against the NNPP-led government in Kano State.
We just register our dissatisfaction with the illegal demolition of properties worth billions of naira in Kano State. If you could remember, when the NPP government came in on board,
the group described the disruption of peace, business activities, and the recent demolition of market assets across Kano Municipal as unacceptable and appealed for UN investigation.
When there is this agreement, you go to court. When the court gave a verdict, you accept that verdict with good faith and go back home. But now some parties are preaching violence. They are recruiting thugs and hoodlums in Kano.
In another development, APC Group has lauded the quality leadership exemplified by the Deputy National Chairman Northeast of the party, Ali Bukar Daluri. The group says he has demonstrated virtues compatible with the APC ideals and philosophy and urged him to sustain the tempo as the party waxed stronger in both strength and scope of governance.
His innate ability to connect with the masses, to understand their hopes and aspiration, mark him as a true people's champion.
The group says he has demonstrated virtues compatible with the APC ideals and philosophy and urged him to sustain the tempo as the party waxed stronger in both strength and scope of governance. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
The Director General, Confederation of APC Support Groups, has urged Nigerians to continue supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as he strives to bring Nigeria out of the woods with his renewed hope agenda. This was during his visit to the management of the Nigerian Television Authority in Abuja. Ekene Ndule reports.
The Confederation of APC Support Groups is the umbrella body for all the support groups under the All Progressives Congress. They are in NTA to commend the organization for their role in publicizing the achievements of the president since his assumption in office. Director General of the Confederation of APC Support Groups, Dr. Kailani Mohammed, is impressed with the exploits of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, especially in the area of attracting foreign investments. He believes the 2024 budget of renewed hope is well structured to deliver the needed economic development in the country.
We hope all Nigerians will support the government, no more opposition. Let everybody key in to make sure that we deliver Nigeria to the promised land. You can see the budget is loaded with social interventions, and they will roll them out. We will make sure we monitor it properly so that it will reach the poor of the poorest.
Director General of NTA, Saliu Abdulhamid Dembos, commended the group for their level of support for Mr. President, adding that the president needs all the support he can get to deliver on his mandate to the people.
In fact, the government needs the support of Nigerians more than ever before. And the fact that electioneering campaigns have come and gone, we are today talking about governance. It is not about oppositions. No. What is paramount to all of us today is the interest of this country.
Both parties are in agreement that President Bola Tinubu is on the right track and have renewed commitments to work collectively towards promoting national interest. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
We will now be linking up with Diba Bari in Port Harcourt for the next set of reports this afternoon. Diba Bari, good afternoon.
Which identifies. However, findings show that the country has the largest number of unregistered under 5 children. Health watchers say addressing this anomaly requires public enlightenment and government commitment towards achieving universal birth registration. Chileberoya tells us more.
Birth registration is regarded as the first step towards recognizing a child's unalienable rights as a human being. Unfortunately, this right is mostly denied children in developing countries, thus depriving them of their right to an identity, name and nationality.
If peradventure this child is delivered in a local setting and that local setting don't have access or do not have access to this booklet or register in question now, there's every need for the caregiver to transmit such delivery.
It's important for my son to have his birth certificate in order for him to identify with his country.
Expectedly, the economic impact of non-adherence to birth registration cannot be quantified, as it hinders the ability of government, especially at the federal level, from making adequate provision for its population.
It has a lot of benefits. We are able to know the accurate population of the country. We can better plan.
Although there are provisions in the current legislation for birth registration in Nigeria, a report from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, indicates that about 70% of the 5 million children born annually in Nigeria are not being registered at birth.
Birth certificate run pari passu with the census. In a country where these two goes well, smoothly, you're doing it right, everybody's coming out to do it. You don't need to do your census all the time.
To achieve stress-free and universal birth registration, especially among the disadvantaged groups, experts note that there should be a connection with the local governments, health systems and services to ensure every newborn child is counted. In Port Harcourt, Chidiebere Onye, NTA News.
The chairman, Rivers State All Progressives Congress Caretaker Committee, Chief Tony Okocha, says priority will be paid to building a stronger, vibrant and active party in the state. He was speaking during a visit to the state office of the party in Port Harcourt. Sienna Mbamiboye has details.
The Caretaker Committee of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State was recently sworn in by the national leadership to run the affairs of the party at the state level. This visit, therefore, is to strategize on ways of repositioning the party and to know the state of facilities at the head office. The chairman of the Caretaker Committee, Chief Tony Okocha,
We are sorry, we seem to be having a little challenge from Port Harcourt. Thank you, Dibabari. And we now move on. The 15th convocation ceremonies of Ajayi Crowther University of Oyo in Oyo town have been held with a total of 1,568 bagging various classes of degrees. 36 made first class in the undergraduate category. Adebola Agbaje reports on the activities marking the convocation.
Crowther University, Oyo, a faith-based institution of the Anglican descent, has recorded another milestone with the celebration of its 15th convocation ceremonies, culminating in the prestigious award of honoris causa of the institution to eminent and deserving Nigerians. The Vice-Chancellor, Professor Timothy Abiodun Adebayo, says the vision of the school is to become an international university based on the standard of qualitative and quantitative education set by its founding fathers.
The 594 graduates in the postgraduate category consist of 71 courses for postgraduate diploma, they are seated there, and 523 individuals for master degree awards in various disciplines.
The convocation lecture, titled "What is in a Name?", delivered by Emeritus Professor Oluwagbemiro Jegede, posited that the Nigerian's educational system is driving in reverse, calling for a redress to this trajectory.
Every page of the national policy of education is outdated, or as they say in Australia, is dated. It's obsolete. We need to sit down and recraft it.
Honorees and others expressed their joy on the occasion.
I read every day from the beginning of the semester, so I don't have to read as much when it's time for exam.
It took a lot of dedication, hard work.
They put in so much effort into making us good students.
Nigeria cannot realize their true potentials until the country subscribes to the principle of morality.
Highlight of activities to mark the convocation ceremonies was commissioning of various projects to boost infrastructure in the institution. From Oyo, Adebola Agbaje, NTA News.
Asmao is in our Sokoto Network Center for more reports on Nationwide. Asmao, it's over to you.
Thank you, Ogochukuka. Good evening and welcome to Sokoto on Nationwide. Stakeholders have reached a consensus to take measures to address overloading and reckless driving, identified as major causes of auto crashes on highways across the country. This was at the 13th stakeholders meeting organized by the Federal Road Safety Corps, Sokoto State Sector Command. The report is presented from our studios.
The rate of auto crashes during the Ember months remains a source of concern. Ember months remains a source of meeting organized by the Road Safety Corps, Sokoto State Sector Command, brought together stakeholders as part of efforts to ensure safety of motorists and other road users, especially during the Yuletide. Overloading and reckless driving were among the major issues that dominated discussions.
We are going to join our hands with all other relevant stakeholders, both the critical and other stakeholders, to ensure that we are letting people the dangers associated with the overloading and the overspeeding. And we are going to take a drastic action, because saving lives is better than any other thing.
During that period, we embark on sensitization and enlightening of the drivers. So most of the adage of the campaign is don't drink and drive, don't overspeed, don't overload, don't mix, don't carry passengers in the same vehicle with goods, because that's what is bringing most of the accidents.
The meeting urged the Federal Road Safety Corps to intensify enlightenment campaigns for the general public to become abreast of the dangers of route violations and other traffic offences.
Zamfara State Government is taking measures to ensure smooth implementation of its Community Protection Guards initiative conceived to restore peace in the state. Jamilu Ibrahim reports that the first batch of the guards are undergoing training in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital. The report.
The present administration of Governor Dalol's initiative to engage the services of community protection guards as part of measures to effectively tackle the security challenges bedeviling Zamfara State is almost a reality. This is the first batch of the guards, numbering more than 2,600, recruited from across the 40 local government areas of the state. They are currently receiving training to adequately prepare them for the tasks ahead. Governor Dalol's visit to the training camp has boosted the morale of the trainees, said they are combat ready. The governor, who applauded the youth for their sacrifice, assured them that his administration will provide all what is required for them to carry out the tasks effectively.
Very, very happy and excited seeing the people and their morale, which means they are ready and they are committed to serve.
Governor Adol says it will not be business as usual, stating that the community protection guards would work hand in hand with the conventional security operatives to take the fight to the terrorist enclaves. Zamfara State Deputy Governor, who doubles as chairman of the Guards Recruitment Committee, Mani Mummuni, and the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Biliamin Ismail Modiki, also charged the trainees to remain resolute in their determination to protect their respective communities. The first batch of the Zamfara State Community Protection Guards is expected to be graduated and deployed before the end of this year. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and all other social media handles displayed on your screens for update. It's now back to Ogochukuka in Abuja for the continuation of the news.
Thank you, Asmao. And up next is Sports Update.
The Super Falcons of Nigeria says they are focused on finishing the job against Cape Verde's women's national football team when both sides clash on December 5 for the second leg of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers in Cape Verde for Morocco 2024 Nations Cup. The Nigerian side, who are 9-time African champions, beat Cape Verde by 5-0 in the first leg of the qualifiers at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, Thursday. But the team says its best is still yet to come ahead of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco.
It's still work in progress, and we just have to build up from this place where we stopped today. So it's not the best game. We could be better because we know we've set a standard for ourselves.
They knew what their strengths were and what their weaknesses were, and that was what we really worked on. We know our standard and Cape Verde is not the same. We are not at par.
In badminton, Over 160 players from 27 states across the country are taking part in the National Badminton Championship, which began Wednesday at the NIS Gymnasium of the National Stadium, Lagos. The competition made a comeback after 3 years of absence. The players are competing in 5 events in the men and women categories: singles, doubles, and mixed doubles. For the Badminton Federation of Nigeria, the national championship, which will be used to ascertain the current ranking of the national players ahead of the Africa Games and the Africa Badminton Championship.
We'll be able to use that ranking to select the players we invite to come. First quarter next year, we have the All-African Senior Badminton Champion in Egypt, February. Then the All-African Games in Accra, Ghana.
In volleyball, the Nigerian Volleyball Federation has invited 13 female players ahead of the 2023 Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa ANOCA Games in Togo. The 2023 Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa ANOCA Zone 3 Games is scheduled for the 4th to 9th of December in Lomé, Togo. With sports update, Gift George, NTA News.
And that's Nationwide today. Many thanks for watching. Do have a very good evening.